and started talking about our sexual fantasies. So, it's fine.
Welcome back to Not My Ghost, Not My Problem. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jen. And today, a voice shows up where no one remembers hearing one. Not in the moment, not while anyone is standing there listening for it. Later, on playback, a whisper in the static, a word buried in noise. Something that sounds just human enough to make everyone stop, rewind, and listen again. And that is what makes it so creepy. Because sometimes it sounds clear. Sometimes it sounds like complete nonsense. And sometimes it sounds exactly like what someone told you it was supposed to say. In this episode, we're talking about EVPs, or electronic voice phenomena. We're getting into what they are, where the idea came from, how ghost hunting shows helped make them famous, why believers find them so compelling, and what skeptics think is actually going on. And then we're going to listen to some real examples for ourselves. So grab your headphones, your digital recorder, and your emotional support skepticism, because today we're getting into EVPs.
I like EVPs. They're really cool, although I don't think I myself have ever captured one.
I don't
My
know.
favorite thing in the world.
I think we've caught a
Have we?
couple while recording. Some interesting
Oh,
things.
interesting things while recording, yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is when I am watching the paranormal shows that I do like,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll play an EVP, and then I'll say what I think it is to Nick or to one of the kids, and then that's what they also said.
Also heard, yeah.
There's a specific episode of Project Fear where they were coming back to a location for the second time.
Kelly, stop it. You dumb bitch.
What? What?
That one may or may not be one of the clips that play later, so discuss it later.
So anyway, there's just this episode of some show that I really liked, and then when I heard it, I was like, oh, I think they're saying this, and then that's what everybody else there that was present heard they were saying.
Yeah, me too.
I can't remember which show it was. Was it Ghost Hunters, or maybe it was Ghost Brothers? There's so many good shows.
So many good shows. Yeah, I like EVPs, but honestly, looking for specific ones for this episode was really challenging. And then it just made me remember how up for interpretation they can be.
They definitely can be.
So
it is interesting to me when you hear it and you think something, and then you have another person hear it and they confirm that they heard the same thing you did, and then you go to a third person that hasn't heard it, doesn't know what you think it is or what the other person thinks it is, and then they confirm that they've heard it. Those are
that's why
really good.
When we get them when we're recording, that's why when I send the clip to you, I never tell you what I think it says, right? I always make sure that I don't say, and same thing when I post it to Discord for our patrons. I never let them know what I think it says until after they tell me what they think. That way you don't put it in anyone's head. Because once you hear it, you can't unhear it.
Right. As soon as somebody says, oh, I think this said, I'm late for class.
Yeah. That's all you can hear.
That's all you will hear when you hear it is I'm late for class.
Yeah. But I do have a question for you.
Oh, are we not getting into any of our other scripted, unscripted banter?
Oh, I don't know. We were just talking about the episode. Yeah, sure. We can talk more about other stuff.
Okay. Like how you forgot to write half of your script today?
I hope that we were just going to gloss over that. But I guess we're peeling back the curtain. So
let me ask you this. If I did that, would you let me off the hook?
God, no, absolutely not.
Yeah. No.
Okay, fine.
Nope.
I finished researching this episode about 15 minutes before we were supposed to record. And finished is a very loose term there, because once I got to the end where I went and tried to find clips to play for the episode, that took me like 2 hours, because as I said, they were a lot harder to find good clips that I thought would transfer well into the episode. And I just spent a lot of time. So by the time I finally finished that and then actually clipped all of the things, like screen recorded so I could get the audio to include them in the episode, I forgot that I didn't go back and do an intro or a closing or facts. So we hit record and I realized I didn't have my intro. So we had to stop.
I did my part of the intro, and then Jen was supposed to say, "I'm Jen," and then start reading her intro. But when she started, she read my intro from our last episode.
I'm all over
and
the
then
place.
She went back and was like, "Oh no, listen, guys, it's been a week."
Hey, I didn't read the whole intro. After like the first sentence, I realized it wasn't my intro.
You did. I didn't. I said you started to read the intro.
I just want to make it clear
Not
that I
you
didn't
read
get
it.
through the entire intro. I still had the script pulled up on my iPad from last week, or from 2 days ago. And yeah, I just pulled it up and was like, oh, here it is. Oh no, it wasn't mine. So yeah, I had to scramble and quickly write our intro and closing and Google some facts real quick.
And here we are.
And here we are. And Kaylee wasn't going to let me get away with it.
No, not at all. I would like to also point out I turned my thingy on my microphone around so that the right part is where I talk into it.
Good. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I hope I sound clearer and better to everyone.
God. Oh, that was so funny when you sent me that picture.
I just put it on.
Yeah. So we have these. Hold on. Sorry if it makes noise. We have these on our microphone.
What? Did you wait? No, wait.
And we are back from a technical difficulty. When I moved my microphone, it became unplugged. And we have learned in the past that if we have any errors or issues while recording, we stop and we restart the recording so we do not run into issues in post-production, which give me a headache.
So as Jen was telling everyone, we have these covers on our microphones.
Yes.
But she was moving hers as she was saying we have these microphones, and I heard we have these microphones. And I was like, wait.
I really hope that that audio picked up and we can include it.
I hope so too.
But if it didn't, just know that happened. But I was showing you I'm not going to move my microphone again because bad things happen when I move stuff. But we have these things over our microphone, and it's supposed to just help like the breathiness, like or like breathing in and out.
Filter. Yeah.
But it's a bigger pop filter than normal.
Yes, definitely.
And Kelly got hers and just plopped it on her microphone. And the other day she was taking a picture of her desk for some reason, and I saw the microphone and I was like, what? Why is it on that way? It's supposed to.
I had the part that you're supposed to speak into on the side.
Yeah.
I didn't even, honestly, when I got it, I must have looked at 3 of the sides, and 3 sides are black. 1 side is blue. I didn't even look at, I just popped it on, and that's what I've been rolling with for months now.
Months. Maybe even over a year now.
But do you want to know something funny? Is even after you pointed it out to me, I forgot to change it. Yesterday, because Jen is coming to visit me very soon.
Yay.
So yesterday, I was in the podcast room. I was like, we have a spare bed in here. So I was washing all the bed sheets and everything because I had someone stay here a couple weeks ago. So I wanted to make sure everything was nice and clean and fresh. and I cleaned the whole room to get things ready for you and Mike to come visit. And then I glanced over and saw it was still on the side. And I was like, let me take a moment to change that.
Speaking of cleaning the whole room, I don't know why I did air quotes for cleaning.
I don't know either, because I did clean the room. I don't know why I absolutely cleaned the room. I don't know why she did it either.
But when you said cleaning, I just noticed, is that like a cleaning product on your bookshelf behind you?
Oh, yes. This is the pledge that I used to dust the room. I guess I should have moved that. Let me turn my mag light on too.
Okay.
Just because.
Sure. I have mine on. We'll see if anybody is chatty today. You know, on Tuesday when we recorded, how my light was pretty much on, like almost the whole episode, my little balloon light.
All right.
It went off after we were done recording and has not turned back on since.
It was very active.
It was.
My favorite part of Tuesday's episode, I don't remember what it was. I think you forgot what you were going to say. And the moment it came back to you, the light
came
popped on. And it was your thinking light.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's your thinking light.
I do too. Well, it's off currently, which means apparently my brain's not working, as we can tell by the chaos.
The lights aren't always on in here, friends, but sometimes.
No, I think I've said this before, but I always like to give them credit. But to steal a line from Two Girls, One Ghost, we share one brain cell. So we both can't have it on the same day. It doesn't. You can't.
I guess I have it today, which kind of scares me, but I'll try to make the best use of it as I can.
I definitely don't like it today. So
I don't like it when I have it, guys.
Yeah.
I like to be dumb and happy.
Are you ready for your question?
I am ready.
That I definitely did not write
just right
5 minutes ago.
Sure.
Okay. Do you think that silence is relaxing or unsettling?
I hate it.
I knew you were going to say that.
Now, I will say I don't think and I don't know if this is going to make a lot of sense. I don't ever experience complete silence because I swear to God that I can hear the electricity in my home. Like, I swear to you, when lights are on, I can hear them.
Yeah.
But beyond that, if it's just, I can't. I don't sleep in silence. When I go to sleep at night, we have a fan on. I have something playing, like, I have the Amazon thing whose name begins with an A that I won't say right now, but they have an app or a thing called Sleep Jar.
Yeah.
That I have. So you can open that and I have it play something different. Sometimes thunderstorms, sometimes like rain on a tent.
It's always fan noises.
Well, I have a fan noise already, so I need a different noise.
No, I need multiple fan noises.
Oh no. See, we love to have a good, like, rain on a tent or a train. It sounds like a train on the tracks or a distant thunderstorm. And on top of the fan and that, I also, on my phone, I go onto YouTube and I find like an 8-hour sleep story.
Oh,
and I have a couple of creators that do really good, like, relaxation meditations first before they get into the story.
No, I can't do
that. I literally need all of that, or I have a very hard time falling asleep at night. Yeah. So if I'm in the house and when I'm researching an episode, I'll usually have music playing. Sometimes it gets distracting and I need to stop it just to listen to, or just to collect my thoughts for a moment.
Yeah.
And then I can play it again. But the TV is on not 24/7, but when people are awake, my TV is on in my house. If my TV is not on, I have a video playing on YouTube. If I'm not watching a video on YouTube, I'm listening to music. If I'm not listening to music, I'm listening to an audiobook. There is never silence, ever. I hate it. But I have a theory about that.
What's that?
My mother used the silent treatment as punishment.
That sounds like
And
sounds like
silence,
a win if your mother wasn't talking to you.
no, but see, that's what people think.
Yeah,
But there was fear behind that because you never know what's gonna happen when she starts
that's
talking
true.
again.
Yeah,
Is she gonna pretend like nothing happened? Or, are you gonna get told what a piece of shit you are? You just don't know.
right.
So, the silence always triggered, like, anxiety or fear in me, that to the point where
Okay.
I cannot handle silence, no, and I like to talk, so I will fill the space. If I have no way to make noise outside, I will break into song, I will talk to myself out loud. There is noise constantly. How about you, Jen?
So mine really depends. I'm very similar. I cannot sleep in silence because, as you said, I don't know if I've ever truly experienced like silence, right? Like there's always something. Like I live in an apartment complex, hell, even just the like air conditioned units outside of my building, I can hear
Right.
most of the time, right? I'm also hyper aware of noises. So like I can hear my air condition or I can hear the neighbors or
Mhm.
things like that. Like once I hear it, then I get like zoned in on that noise. But
Right.
there are times that I do like to work in quiet. Elias apparently disagrees and thinks that he should play music for me.
Well, I guess we are technically working, yeah.
Yeah, we are. But like when I'm researching an episode, I like today I was working and then I took a break to do some research and I had my music playing because most of the time I listen to music while I work. But like when I'm researching, as I'm writing out the sections, I read them out loud to myself. Because
I will do that
if
as
I
well.
read it in my head, I'm skipping words and paragraphs and like
Mhm.
skimming. Whereas if I read it out loud, I'm making sure that it makes sense, that it sounds okay before I, do it for the episode. But I can't do that if I have music playing. It's too distracting because my brain
Right.
is
I
trained to
have to read it
read.
out loud, but I have to read it out loud in the way in which I would say
Yes,
it when we are recording.
absolutely.
But here's the thing, even though I do that, I still run into times when we are recording an episode where I start to say something and I'm like, "That makes no
On
sense
a
at
regular
all."
basis, she does that.
I do.
I do it too occasionally, but Kelly does it pretty frequently.
It's the ADHD.
Yeah.
This is the difference. Jen and I both have ADHD. Jen is treated for it. I am not.
Yeah.
But everybody, mark my words. My goal by the next time we record, I'm not sure when that is. By the next episode is to
Monday?
tell everybody that I have scheduled an appointment with a psychiatrist, because
Yay!
I want to call tomorrow to do it.
Do it. Do it.
Hopefully, when we record Monday, you're going to hear me say I scheduled the appointment.
Sorry, Monday is actually our Patreon mini episodes that we're recording, so next Thursday.
Next Thursday, you will hear me say, I have scheduled an appointment with a psychiatrist.
Fingers crossed. And then she can
Elias
be
is going to
medicated.
remind me.
But yeah, when I'm sleeping, same thing. Like I have a little stand fan. I have the a device that I'm not going to say its name that plays fan noises. Cannot sleep in silence. But I am very much like, it just depends on my mood. It just depends on how I'm feeling, how overstimulated I am in the moment, and whether or not I want silence or like something relaxing.
When I am overstimulated and I need the least amount of noise, I usually put on the Torture Poets department,
It's a
like
great
on
option.
on a device, and leave it kind of a little bit low.
Yeah.
So I have some noise, but it's not overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, in order to feel normal, I need overwhelming noise.
It's interesting. Yeah.
And we are going to take a really quick potty break.
Okay.
And we are back from,
Potty.
well, I don't know
It was
what that was.
mostly
Potty?
mostly a potty break, but then we got
Mostly a potty
distracted
break.
and started talking about our sexual fantasies. So, it's fine.
It's fine. It's whatever. And no patrons, you will
No.
not get that.
That is one of those private conversations that gets deleted immediately.
Yes.
Sorry,
That's
patrons.
between me and Jen.
We give you a
And the
lot. We don't give you all of it.
no. Sorry.
Well, anyway, we are going to get into our facts.
We're not even through the facts.
We're not even through the facts, but they're short. So I just did random facts about sound things. So they kind of all fit in. First one is infrasound can make people feel uneasy, anxious, or like something strange is in the room. In one well-known experiment, low-frequency sounds around 17 hertz was linked to feelings of fear, chills, and discomfort for some people, even when they did not realize that they were hearing anything unusual.
Isn't that the frequency they use in horror movies to build suspense and fear in people?
I don't know if that's that exact frequency is, but
same concept at least.
Absolutely. And it's so funny when I watch, because me and Mike loves to watch horror movies.
Oh, he does?
He does. He loves horror movies.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
When we watch horror movies, when something like it's one of those like silent, quiet scenes that's got the music playing, he will actually cover his ears. Like he will cover his ears.
I do that too.
And
I do the same thing.
I looked at him the first time. I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Well, the music.
It's scary, damn it.
The scariest part." And I'm like, "Okay,
it's scary."
I don't know. I think I'm just desensitized at this.
Elias agrees it's scary.
It takes a lot to jump scare me.
No, I don't get scared by the jump scare though. It's just the music that scares me. That's what scares me.
It's funny, as someone who just a couple of months ago couldn't watch scary movies by herself. I don't know. I feel like once I got over the fear of watching them, I've desensitized.
I love the fact that you got over that fear so quickly.
I mean, it was Halloween. I wanted to watch scary movies and I lived alone.
Right.
So
you did.
So yeah.
And you did it.
But now it's like I watch all these movies and I'm like, I'll get a little, but that's the most you'll get out of me. There has not been a time.
It has been a long time since a horror movie has scared me, where I thought about it later.
Yeah, same.
There was one horror movie, I think it's called Descent, where that triggered my anxiety, but I wasn't necessarily scared. It's just something in it triggered my anxiety about it.
Should that be something I add to my watch list?
I think it's called Descent. I think so, yeah.
I just opened up my notes on my app, in my notes app on my phone. And I just was looking through because I have a media to list that I actually have a list, y'all. I know people say
that's really smart, actually,
putting it on the list, but I actually have a list. I've not updated it in a while, so I've watched a lot of these movies. But I had a random note that just said cheese balls.
That's so funny. Because
I don't know why.
I can't get into this. We have derailed this episode
we're
so
derailing.
Much.
Back to fact 2. Okay.
I can't get into it. Okay.
Back to fact 2. Your brain, I don't know why I'm pointing at you, can hear voices in pure noise if it is primed to expect them, which this kind of tees up this whole episode. Research on auditory pareidolia, which we'll talk about it. We've talked about it before and we'll talk about it later, shows that once people are told a vague sound contains speech, they are much more likely to hear words in it, even when the audio is highly ambiguous.
Okay, so here's my thing about that, okay? There are some times where you hear audio where there's a lot of weird noises that's going on.
Yeah.
But then you'll hear what you think is a word in that. That to me is a lot less credible than when you're listening to an audio with consistent ambient sounds and then you hear a phrase or a word or
I
something.
agree.
That is a different entity to me.
I agree.
Like if there's a lot going on in something, I tend to think, well, I think I might hear something, but there's a lot going on.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
And our last fact is people in sensory deprivation or float tanks can sometimes report hearing sounds, music, or even voices that are not actually there. That does not mean that the tank is haunted.
Elias.
It happens because when external input drops down, the brain can start generating its own sensory experiences, including auditory ones. And I've never done a float tank, but I've always wanted to.
Okay, so I've wanted to try it, but I feel like the silence in it I will have a panic attack.
I mean, I'm sure there's like.
Will you go with me to try one?
Sure.
And then I feel like if you're in the facility, maybe I'll feel better. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
That's fair. I'm sure there's like there's gotta, like, I'm sure that's pretty common that happens. So I'm sure there's gotta be like a get me out.
A panic button
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm sure there's probably a way to open it from the inside if you're like, fuck this, I'm out. But I've heard it can cause hallucinations, which I don't know. I think that's kind of cool.
I mean, I hear some drugs can cause hallucinations.
I know, but drugs are bad for you, Kelly.
They're
This
very bad. And
is
I
not bad for you.
personally would not suggest anyone ever trying anything like that. I would never.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to start with the basics. What is an EVP?
In short, it's an EVP.
Thank you. You finally got it. It's been a while.
It has been a while. No, you can't say it's been a while because I want to sing because I watched the Andy show, which is Lilith Czar's husband's podcast. Anytime someone says it's been a while, he sings, "It's been a while." You know that song?
Yeah.
And now that's what I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Andy Biersack.
Yeah. So
long-time listener, fan of the show. That's a lie, by the way.
Yeah. He doesn't not know who Kelly is.
That's the truth. I've actually been on his podcast before.
Yeah, you have. I remember that.
I have. Yeah.
Yep. Anyway,
if you asked him who I was, he wouldn't know.
He wouldn't.
But he doesn't not know who I am.
Yes. Well, sure. Like, you're one of Lilith's like top tier patrons. So like, and she was on our podcast. Like she absolutely talked to her husband about this podcast.
If she said, you know, Kelly, I was on her podcast, he'd be like, yeah, I know Kelly. Yeah.
Do you think he listened to that episode?
Andy. Hi.
Hi, Andy. Are you listening?
Hi, Andy. If you're listening, and we know you are.
We do.
Please weigh in. Do you know who I am? Me, Kelly, who has been on your podcast twice. Once in drag as Bob Ross. The second time during the pandemic as one of your top tier patrons. And now, top tier patron of your wife, Lilith Czar. And Lilith Czar has been on my podcast. Do you know who we are?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Please. Okay. So EVP stands for Electronic Voice Phenomena. The term is used for sounds captured on recordings that some people believe are voices from spirits or other entities. In other words, you record audio at a location, you listen back to it later, you hear something, usually a voice, but sometimes other noises. But it basically, you didn't hear it in real time. If you do hear it in real time and capture it on audio, that's just called a disembodied voice, not technically an EVP.
Yeah. Have you ever heard a disembodied voice?
I have not.
I have.
I have not. I've heard things.
Well, that's what I was just
But,
gonna
like,
say, is I think I have heard things, but sometimes it's hard for me to differentiate if I heard things through here
yeah,
or hear things through here. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. There have been times where, like, I've thought I've heard something out loud with my actual earballs that I couldn't place, but I don't know if it's ever been clear enough that I could, like, yeah, that was a voice.
Elias, please. I'm sorry, I gotta piss again. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
And we're back from a potty break because Kelly has the bladder size of a pea, apparently.
I have broken said seal.
She did. So
Yeah.
there probably will be more. I need to make a potty break graphic. I'm trying to figure out how to bring this back, but my last sentence, my next paragraph kind of builds off the last thing I said, which I'm sure by now you probably all don't remember the last thing I said. So
No.
basically I just said you record audio in a location, you listen back, you hear something, and usually it's a voice that you didn't notice in real time. And that is important, Elias agrees, because Kelly, I just
What?
got a really good idea.
What?
I need you to send me a picture of Elias, and I'm going to put him, if he's okay with it, you have to ask if he's okay with it. I'm going to put him on a t-shirt that says Elias agrees.
Oh my God. I love it. Give me some time to check in with Elias.
Check in with Elias. Let me know.
Wait, he just went off. Maybe he likes it. Wait, Elias. If you don't like the idea, go off.
Okay. Now ask him if he likes the idea to go off.
If you do like the idea of putting your image on a t-shirt, please. Friends, I think we have our answer.
I think so too. I'm
Which is
so excited.
fucking wild. But
I
I love
said
it.
Elias agrees. And then in my brain, I'm like, we say that a lot. And then I'm like, oh, t-shirt. Back to it. EVPs are not clear conversations. Most of the time, they are tiny, scratchy fragments. It's something faint. It's distorted. It could be a voice. Maybe it's just static. Maybe it's background noise or interference or just your brain trying to turn gibberish into language. And then begins one of the most common paranormal hobbies of all time. Replaying the same 3-second audio 20 times while everyone argues over whether the ghost said, help me, get out, or absolutely nothing.
And that's the truth.
It is.
Because sometimes one person will hear something as innocent as I love you, and the other person will hear die now, bitch.
Yeah.
And it's so like polar opposites.
Yeah. And what's funny is sometimes, not always, sometimes someone says they hear this and I listen to the clip over and over again and I'm like, yeah, I don't hear that. Sorry. But sometimes
Right.
I will hear both things. Like I could listen to a clip where someone says it says this and someone says it says that. And I can switch it on and off in my brain where I'm like, sometimes I hear this and sometimes I hear that.
Right.
Which is fascinating that our brains can do that. But
usually when that happens to me, it's like, if it's a phrase.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, I hear the same thing on the first, like 2 words, but the third word will
not
change.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. But that essentially is the reason why EVPs are so controversial. Believers see them as possible spirit communication, especially when the voice is not heard live and seems connected to either the location or the question that is being asked. Skeptics, however, will point to auditory pareidolia, which, if you don't know by now, is the brain's tendency to find meaning in unclear sounds. If someone tells you what the clip is supposed to say, there's a good chance that that's exactly what you'll hear. And that's what makes EVPs so tricky. They sit right in the space between creepy and questionable. And that is really the heart of the debate. Are the voices from beyond? Or are we hearing what we expect, hope, or fear that we're hearing?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, where did this idea come from? Because people did not just wake up one day and hit record on their audio device, tape, cassette player, I don't know, whatever they had back then, and suddenly decide that ghosts were leaving us voicemails, right? So the early history gets a little messy because, like a lot of paranormal topics, it has that problem where the story has been repeated so many times that the legend starts replacing the facts. But one of the earliest names associated with EVP research is Attila van Soiloy, who was already interested in spirit photography and by the late 40s was trying to capture voices as well. So the more documented phases of his work came in around the 1950s when he teamed up with Raymond Bayless. And together they moved beyond casual experimentation and began developing a more deliberate recording process. They were not just wandering around with a recorder and hoping for the best. They were trying to control the setup, reduce ordinary contamination, and see whether unexplained voices would still appear. Part of their work involved using recording equipment and microphone setups meant
Really wish I could believe my mama loves me, but honestly, that just ain't possible. I started doing
Okay.
pageants when I was 5.
My phone has decided to play a video for us.
She got into all kinds of bad stuff.
My phone is on my desk.
Wild surgeries, lost like 300 pounds, and ended up looking all sick.
And it's decided to play a YouTube reel about Honey Boo Boo. And it was on its lock screen when it did that.
okay. So their goal was to make any unusual result seem harder to explain away as just background noise or somebody talking nearby. So the voices that they believe they captured, they weren't long, dramatic speeches, because that'd be fucking wild, but they were short phrases and brief fragments, which is important because that pattern has stayed consistent over the years. Even now, most EVP claims are not full conversations. They're usually tiny audio snippets. So Attila and Bayless are important, not because they proved that EVPs were real, because they didn't, but their work did help lay the foundation for everything that came after. They were part of that shift from the general spiritualist belief into something that did feel a little bit more technical and experimental and more sciencey, right? And it tied the paranormal to machines. And that's a huge part of why EVPs are so compelling, because once people thought that technology might capture what human senses could not, the whole idea became a lot harder to let go. But the name that most people hear first is Frederick Jurgensen. And now Jurgensen was a Swedish artist, singer, and filmmaker who became one of the most influential figures in the history of EVPs. According to the story, in 1959, he was out recording bird songs. And then, during playback,
I love bird songs, guys. Listen, get the Merlin app. It's called Merlin, and you can hit listen, and it will listen to the bird songs around you, and it will tell you what birds are around you and what. I know it sounds like I'm saying this because I'm old and old people like birds, But this is one of my daughter Rebecca's special interests.
Oh, okay.
And
I was about to say, Kelly, I'm not 40 yet, so I haven't gotten into bird watching.
well, you don't have to be 40. You can simply be autistic because Rebecca is 23.
I am autistic, but I have not gotten into bird watching yet.
Okay. It's not watching. She just loves the sounds and she can identify. We'll be outside and she'll hear something and she'll go, that's a blue jay and that's a tufted titmouse, which is one of the names of the birds around here.
Sounds like a great
tufted titmouse. Yeah. Anyway, please proceed.
So anyway, when he played back his bird song, he heard what sounded like human voices on the tape. At first, he thought it was some kind of technical issue or some type of accidental interference. But after more recordings, he became convinced that the voices were something much stranger. What made Jurgensen so important is not just that he claimed to hear voices. It is that his story gave EVPs a real mythology. Instead of being a small, obscure experiment, it suddenly became this much bigger idea. What if a tape recorder could capture voices that human ears could not hear in the moment? Jurgensen reportedly came to believe that some of the voices were messages from the dead, including his own relatives. That personal angle made the whole thing more powerful. It was no longer just a weird technical anomaly. It became a possible form of communication. Like the work that came before him, the voices Jurgensen reported were usually brief, strange, and open to interpretation, but that actually made it more influential. Their ambiguity left room for belief, debate, and endless replaying. Right? Like it's almost and I know obviously social media wasn't a thing back then, but it's almost like how people will do reels that they'll make you have to watch over and over again so they get their numbers up.
Right.
So it's kind of like that. Like EVPs are so ambiguous that it's like you have to listen to it 10 times before you can get a sense of what it actually is saying.
And I admit that I hate that about reels that do that, where you're like, what? What did I see? What did I hear?
And then you watch it again and again.
It is pure marketing brilliance for the algorithm.
It is.
I can't argue with that. And Jen, hold. I have to piss.
Potty break. And we're back from Kelly's potty break.
Sorry, guys.
I don't remember where I was, so I'm just going to start on with the next guy, and hopefully I read all of the information that I researched. But there's maybe like a paragraph, but I don't remember. The next person that really helped EVPs become famous is Konstantin Raudive. Now, Raudive was a Latvian psychologist and a writer who became deeply interested in Jurgensen's recordings and started conducting his own experiments. If Jurgensen helped bring attention to the idea, Raudive helped turn it into a much bigger paranormal movement. What made Raudive stand out was the scale of his work. He claimed to have collected thousands of strange voices and became convinced that they were not just random noise or technical glitches. He believed that they were genuine attempts at communication from the dead. His work also helped shape the way people thought about EVPs, and the voices were usually short and unclear, which tracks. They were brief, fragmented, difficult to understand most of the time, which is, again, one of the reasons why this whole thing is so controversial. But same thing with Jurgensen. Instead of all of this weakening the belief, the ambiguity helped fuel it. People just kept listening. They kept replaying, debating. It kind of just all fueled everything back then. So he was one of the biggest names in EVP history, and this was in the late 60s, early 70s, and his work really helped push the topic far beyond just this little niche experiment. By that point, EVPs were no longer just a weird recording oddity. it had become a recognizable paranormal practice, with people actively trying to capture spirits for themselves. And that is where EVPs really found their place. They're not just a ghost story, it's a method, a piece of ghost hunting culture. And over time, the culture only got bigger. Tape recorders became digital recorders, paranormal TV shows made EVPs a staple of their investigations, and eventually the whole idea expanded into related tools and methods, including spirit boxes, radio sweep devices, and other gadgets that promise some form of real-time communication.
When is the first time you remember hearing about an EVP?
Probably ghost hunters.
So there was a movie. What was that movie called? I don't know if it was in the 90s. I can't find the movie. Every description I'm seeing doesn't ring a bell for what I'm thinking of. But there was a movie, I believe in the 90s, about a man whose father died, and he started hearing like radio transmissions from his dad when he was like in between radio stations. And that was the first time the idea of EVP was introduced to me.
Okay.
And then after that, in the early 2000s, I then found Ghost Hunters,
Yeah.
which I felt like then explained it more. So, yeah.
Okay. So before we move on, it does help to know that EVP clips are often sorted into classes based on how clear they are. So it's pretty simple. You have class A. This is the clearest type. It's a voice or sound that's very easy to understand. Everybody pretty much says, hey, this is saying the same exact thing. There's very little interpretation. Then there's class B, and this is still fairly clear, but it's not quite as obvious. It's the kind of clip where people may need a little guidance before they catch what's being said. And once they know what they're listening for, then usually people can hear it. And then there is class C, and this is the weakest. These clips are faint, they're whispery, they're often hard to make out, and sometimes they're just a little bit more frustrating than they are impressive. I also want to just do a quick explanation on the difference between an EVP and a spirit box. So EVPs and spirit box are often lumped together, but they're not the same thing. So as we've said, EVP is discovered after recording. You ask questions while recording. You listen back to see if anything shows up. So the whole idea is that the voice was captured without being heard in real time. A spirit box, on the other hand, is meant to feel more like live communication. It rapidly scans radio frequencies, and investigators listen in real time for words or phrases that appear to be direct answers.
Okay, so the movie that I saw was kind of somewhere in between the two.
Yeah.
It wasn't like switching back and forth, but it was definitely kind of like in the white noise static frequency of radio where something would come through.
Yeah, that's more like a spirit box.
And I guess that was the first time, I guess more accurately, the idea that spirits could communicate in some kind of electronic way
Yeah.
was introduced to me rather than necessarily an EVP
Yeah.
was introduced to me.
That
But I
makes
do
sense.
remember that movie having a big impact on me and me wanting to try to like put a radio on something to see if I
If
could
you could hear
something.
stuff. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you have. So you can go back in time and tell your younger self that you've done it many times.
I have, and I'd like to say that there's a particular guy who investigates the paranormal who may or may not be a colossal douchebag, who thinks that he invented the idea of said spirit box.
Ah, yeah.
And I'm just saying, I kind of saw a movie that in the 90s when you were probably a little itty bitty baby. I don't know how old that douchebag
I know.
is,
I'm
but
curious because I don't know. Oh, he's old. I mean, older
how
than I
old is he?
thought. 49.
Get the fuck out of here right now. This is 49. No. Okay, first of all, Jen, fuck you for saying 49 is old. Because I will be older than that this year. But no, seriously, on a serious level, I did envision this particular douchebag being around your age.
I kind
Not
of did
said
too.
like 6-7 years younger than you. Or older than you, I'm sorry. 6-7 years older than you.
How old do you think I am, Kelly?
What? Aren't
You
you
just-
36?
Yes.
Oh, shit. And we are back from yet another derail, potty break, wine break, lipstick break, whatever the hell this was.
Mm-hmm. So EVPs had already existed for decades. But then ghost hunting TV made it a huge part of why so many people even know what they are. Shows like Ghost Hunters, which we love, took something
Absolutely.
that had mostly lived in paranormal books and niche research circles and turned it into a standard part of televised investigations. Once audiences started seeing investigators walk into haunted locations with recorders, ask questions into the dark, then replay strange audio as possible evidence, EVPs became one of the most recognizable tools in paranormal culture. TV made EVPs feel much more dramatic than they had on paper. Instead of it just being an obscure recording oddity, it became a moment. The investigator asked a question, silence. Then later, during playback, everyone freezes while a scratchy little voice gets replayed 3 times and subtitled on screen like it just dropped the line of the century. The format made EVPs incredibly sticky. It was easy to understand, easy to build suspense around, and it gave ghost hunting shows something that felt more direct than a creak or a cold spot. A voice feels personal. A voice feels like contact. TV also helped normalize the whole method. Recording sessions, playback reviews, call and response questioning, and eventually led to spirit boxes. All of these became familiar parts of a paranormal investigation because audiences just saw them happen repeatedly. So, believers generally think that ghosts can be captured on audio because they believe that spirits exist as some form of energy or some type of consciousness, and that it can interact with the physical world in limited ways. And since a ghost is not usually thought of as having a normal physical body, it might not be able to speak like a living person, but maybe it could influence electronic devices, sound waves, or background
that
noise.
makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense to me that they can't communicate in the ways that we as humans communicate, that
Right.
it needs to use other methods like that.
I kind of thought of it like when you think of like the dog whistle, right? Like you have a dog whistle that is such a high pitch that only dogs can hear it. So I feel like maybe spirit communication generally tends to be something like that. It's a different pitch that our ears can't necessarily pick up on in real time, but it can be recorded.
Right.
So a spirit might not be able to fully manifest or speak out loud, but it might be able to manipulate a recording device and imprint its voice into some type of digital audio. Or some people think that it just uses the existing sound or energy in an environment to create a message. Some believers also think spirits communicate better through electronics because devices are more sensitive than your human senses. So even if no one hears anything live, the recorder could still pick up on it, kind of like I said about the dog whistle. But as always, we have to present the skeptical point of view. So EVPs are interesting, but skeptics don't necessarily consider it proof of spirit communication. One of the biggest explanations, which we've already talked about, is auditory pareidolia. And basically, if the audio is vague enough, people will often hear words or voices even when there's nothing intentional there. Another big factor is suggestion. If someone plays a clip and tells you, listen.
Wait, I have to talk about pareidolia for a second. Because while I understand that is real and that it is something we need to look out for, I feel like everything gets dismissed as visual or auditory pareidolia, where it maybe is, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it actually is.
I agree.
I feel like it's one of those words that people just throw out there whenever something happens.
For sure.
They just throw it out there.
For sure. Because there's the part of our brains that want to hear or see something in the mess, right? But then there's that other logical part of our brain that is like, there's got to be an explanation for this, right? So that's kind of where I think the two are fighting each other in a lot of scenarios. And it's hard to really tell.
Yeah.
So another big factor is suggestion. If someone plays a clip and tells you, listen, it says get out, then there's a much better chance that you're going to hear get out. Not because the audio changed, but because your brain was given a script. There's also the issue of audio contamination. Recorders can pick up background conversations, movement, wind, clothing, rustling, distant voices, building noise, mechanical hums, radio interferences. The list goes on. And it can become distorted enough that it seems eerie on playback.
Right. And I will say that, like, when somebody gives you a suggestion, even if you've listened to it 1,000 times and you think it says one thing, and then someone suggests to you that it says something different, you then can only hear the different thing. You can
not necessarily.
For me, I feel like it influences me so much that I become iffy on what I thought I originally heard.
I agree sometimes, but there are some times where they'll say it says this, and I will listen to it over and over again, and I don't hear that at all. Most of the time, though, that is when I can't pick out words. If I can hear words...
I feel like that happened to me and you in a situation that might be a clip later, where I said I heard something immediately and that you said you didn't hear. Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, most of the time that happens to me in clips where I can't really make out words. And then they'll be like, oh no, it clearly says get out. And I'll keep listening to, I'm like, I don't hear get out. I don't hear it. But usually if I think I hear something and then someone else tells me what they hear, then sometimes my brain will switch over. So skeptics also point out that most EVPs are extremely short and unclear, and they're open to interpretation. If a clip only seems convincing after it has been replayed over and over, cleaned up, slowed down, or explained in advance, that does weaken the claim that it's paranormal evidence.
I agree, yeah.
Now that we've covered EVPs, where they come from, and why people argue about them so much, and I went looking for some of the best examples that I could find online. For each example, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to credit the source, and I'm going to provide a little background on the location and the haunting. But before I give you any of that, I'm going to play the clip first with no context, no subtitles, no suggestion, no, this is what people think they heard, just the audio. I'm going to play it several times. That way you have a chance to hear it for yourself and decide what, if anything, you think you're hearing before I give away the backstory and interpretation. Because as we know, context matters. And the second somebody tells you what a clip says, that's all you're ever going to be able to hear. So as you listen, make sure that you are paying attention to what stands out. Definitely let us know in the comments because we already know that these are the types of clips that people can listen to and they can hear 12 different things. But yeah, definitely comment. Let us know what you heard before we told you what it said, and let us know if you actually think this is what it is saying.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? And I'll play it several times.
Okay, go. I remember Tanner. I know this because when I listened to this episode of the podcast, and guys, I honestly didn't know what clips she was choosing. When I listened to this with my family, when this episode first aired, as soon as it played, I looked at my husband and my daughter Katie, who could verify, but they're not here. I said, "Holy shit, it remembers Tanner." And earlier in the episode, the person that was caretaker of the property had said that they knew it remembered Tanner. But later in the episode, as soon as it played, I heard clearly, "I remember Tanner." And I said that to my husband and my daughter, and they said, "No." And then that's exactly what I believe it was Dakota and Chelsea and Alex heard was it might have been, "Yes, I remember
That's what it is.
Tanner."
It's yes.
Yeah.
And then a pause. I remember Tanner. And right before
And I heard this clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Right before this, they say, or Dakota asked the question, "We were here, however long ago. Do you remember us?" And then immediately it's, "Yes, I remember Tanner." And I'm going to play it again one more time, just so now that you know what people say it says, to see if you can hear it. So it's a very long pause. You hear "yes" immediately, and then it's a very long pause.
I feel like the two words that pop is "yes" and Tanner.
I hear "yes," and then I think "remember Tanner." I is kind of like my brain could be filling that in.
Right. I mean, I heard this with a certainty that certain as I am that Nick is my husband and that Blaze, Josh, Rebecca, Emily, and Katie are my children, and Blossom and Gwendolyn are my grandchildren. Like, that's as clearly as I heard this. Yes, I remember Tanner.
Yep. So this was Project Fear, and it was the episode "The Haunted Sanatorium That Changed Us Forever." And it was recorded at the Fairfield County Infirmary in Ohio. So Fairfield County Infirmary, it's a well-known haunted location. This was Project Fear's second time investigating, as we said. This clip does give a little more weight for believers because the idea is not just that something spoke, but that something responded directly to Dakota's question and recognized Tanner from an earlier visit.
Right. This is like, to me, this is a Class A.
I agree.
EVP.
I agree. I will say, though, I got one better. It's not the next one, but it's the next one. But the next one is pretty good, too. So let me pull this one up. Nope. Same one. Clip 2. There we go. I had to click it twice.
Wait. They don't want us. They don't want us. Wait, because I don't know. I'm not looking at your script. I don't know what you're talking about, but it reminds me of an episode of Ghost Hunters. I believe they were in Altoona, Pennsylvania, where it was a homeowner that got very upset after this EVP because it said they don't want us. And she was like, God, if I can remember this episode, she was like, yes, it's not that we don't want them. It's that we don't want them scaring our kids.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
You get all of
They
the
don't
prizes.
want us.
So
They don't want us.
This was from Ghost Hunters. Do you know what season?
I have
You were
no
so
clue.
great with everything else.
I just remember a family in Ghost Hunters that was
How do you
a
remember
mom
the
in
exact
particular.
like city that it was in?
I don't know. I guess because I watched Ghost Hunters a lot, and I had the first couple of seasons on DVD.
Okay.
That it could have been within like the first like 5 or so seasons, I think is what I had. But I remember a mom being very upset because it was something about her like kids' room that she was doing something in, and her hearing, I remember I was shocked when they showed her the evidence and it said they don't want us, that she got very upset saying it's not that we don't want you, it's that you can't scare our children.
Yeah. So this was season 1.
Oh, get out.
Episode 1.
I would have said like season 3 or 4
Nope.
is what I would have been thinking.
Episode 1. First episode, the pilot.
Which is crazy because the first episode I watched was like a lighthouse episode on Halloween night.
Yeah.
And it would have been years before I heard the episodes before that. And I think that lighthouse episode was in season 1. That's crazy. They don't want us. And it was a woman specifically in Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the fact that you remember Altoona, Pennsylvania is
because
crazy.
This stood out to me because I personally had activity in my home and I had young children that were being scared by the activity in the house. And when that woman said, like, when we heard they don't want us and she said they don't want us, I related to her feeling because it wasn't the spirits they didn't want. It was the fact they didn't want their children scared.
So, and not 100% that this is one of them, but ironically enough, because I was very curious when you said that they investigated a lighthouse on Halloween. I Googled it.
Okay.
That may have been the St. Augustine Lighthouse.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was a lighthouse they had to take a boat to.
Oh, well then no, that's not the St. Augustine Lighthouse then.
Okay, they had to take a boat.
So maybe
to
they've
this
investigated
lighthouse.
multiple lighthouses on Halloween.
I think maybe they did, but
okay, that would have been really ironic.
Right, they don't want us. Listen, if I hear anybody say they don't want us,
yeah,
my brain automatically goes back to Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Okay, and I'll play it again so
episode.
everyone can listen to it again now that we said what we think it says, and really listen because I definitely think it sounds like a child.
Right, and to me that sounds like my daughter Emily when she was little, like the voice sounds familiar to me.
Yeah. So Kelly already gave a lot of the background, but as I said, very first episode of Ghost Hunters, they investigated the family home in Altoona. They believed that the activity was centered on the young girl's bedroom. The case did feel more like a possible poltergeist style haunting rather than like your typical creepy haunted house story.
I don't even remember anything about it centering around the children's bedroom.
Yeah.
Or space.
Yeah. Now, what made this especially memorable was that there were 2 childlike EVP clips. And now I'm going to play the second one for you.
Wait, there was a second one?
There was a second one.
I don't remember a second one. Like, God's honest truth.
Which is crazy
When I
because This one is
When
even
I heard
clearer.
no. When I heard the first one, my brain immediately went to Altoona, Pennsylvania. They don't want us. So I have no idea what's coming because I don't remember anything else about that episode.
And I'm going to play this second clip of this episode right now.
I don't remember this at all. Can you play it again? Come in. I hear come in. I don't know if it's saying please come in. Will you come in? No, play it again. It's 4 syllables. So it can't be please. Well, maybe please come in.
That's only 3 syllables.
Play it again. Please come in. Please. No, it's not please can you come in because it's come in. I hear come in at the end. Can you come in? Can I come in?
Yeah. So
something like
the
that.
second clip is believed to say, "Can I come in?" And I'll play it
Can
again.
I come in? That's 4 syllables. Okay, I don't know if that makes more sense to me now that you told me. I'm sure it's because you said, "Can I come in?"
Right, but
that
you were still
I-
getting it pretty
I
close.
hear it. I heard come in, but I didn't know if it was please can I come in or please
Yeah.
come in or something like that.
I don't know. When I heard this before they said because that's what I was really looking for. Because I listened to a lot of clips today and I was really looking for clips that I could hear and at least make out some of it. So I don't remember if I heard "Can I come in?" or if I just heard "come in." But now that I know it says "Can I come in?" I literally hear it clear as day.
I heard come in.
Yeah. And I do just have to say, as this was the first episode of season 1 of Ghost Hunters, Jason Hawes has aged like a fine, fucking, expensive, top tier shelf of a full bodied Cabernet Sauvignon. And oh my God. Whew.
Having recently met Jason Hawes, I can only say that I hope to age as fine as Jason Hawes has aged.
I don't know how old Jason was when they started Ghost Hunters. I'm sure I could do the math.
No clue.
But when I look at that first episode and I look at Jason, I'm like, oh, okay, he's a mediocre white dude. Like, you know.
Right, he's a white dude. He looks like every other attractive white guy in the era of it. But now,
bald white guy.
Older?
But older.
With facial hair?
Whew.
Jason Hawes, I'm just saying.
I just, I would not have turned my head at Jason in season 1, episode 1. But now
I would have turned my head in season 1, but now
I'll get a crick in my neck to turn my head to look at Jason.
Yeah. Well done, Jason. I raise my glass to you.
Cheers.
Well done.
We only can hope to age as fine as you have.
Absolutely.
Okay, last clip. We have 1 clip left. Let me pull it up.
Something dead. I don't know what it's saying. Not dead. Not dead. You're not dead? You're not dead?
Close. It is believed that it is saying, we are not dead.
Play it again. Again. I hear you're not dead.
Okay. And that's fair. It's up for interpretation. I hear
I heard dead first.
Yeah.
I heard dead first, and then I heard not after a little bit.
Yeah.
But I hear you're not dead.
I heard not dead the first time I listened. And then I really couldn't get the we're not dead until it said that's what it said. But I did hear not dead.
I hear you're not dead.
Okay. So this clip was filmed by the American Paranormal Research Association, and it was in Linda Vista Hospital. I don't know. Somebody I found on YouTube.
So this isn't like a popular like ghost show or anything. I have no idea who these people are. Okay.
So they were investigating in Linda Vista Hospital in Los Angeles, California. And that place already has a reputation as being a heavily haunted location. It's a former hospital. So that setting does
again?
LA, Linda Vista Hospital. I had never heard of this before.
Linda Vista. I've never heard of it.
Yeah. But that does influence how people do hear and interpret EVPs. But what makes this stand out is that it feels direct, aware, and almost like confrontational, which is why it sticks with people. Because right before this clip, they asked something about death, like, why are you still here after you died, or something like that. And then the response was, we are not dead.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of EVPs. So whether you hear spirit voices, random noises, or just a whole lot of suggestions and static, EVPs live in the weird space where the paranormal and perception crash right into each other. And that's exactly why they have stuck around for so long. They're creepy, personal, frustrating, and convincing enough to keep people replaying the same few seconds over and over again. So let us know below which clip stood out the most. What did you hear before we told you what it said? And does it sound clear, or do you just think it's spooky audio chaos?
If you loved hanging out with us today, consider leaving us a rating or review.
And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Not My Ghost Podcast for even more chaos.
If you want extra perks, consider joining our Patreon.
And if you have a creepy encounter, you can email it to us at notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com. And you might hear it on a future episode.
And if you want to actually see us respond to all of this spooky nonsense, subscribe and drop us a comment on YouTube.
Thank you for joining us on this eerie deep dive through EVPs. As you move through the noise, keep this in mind.
If it's not your EVP,
it's not your problem.
Until next time, stay spooky
and stay skeptical.